Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, my good friend. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining us. What's the latest on the search and rescue operations there in Texas?
So at this point, and the numbers change literally by the minute, we are still missing 27, mostly young girls under the age of 12 from one particular camp. We have about 18 camps along the Guadalupe River. Almost all of them were busy during the summer. And all of those reported and were accountable for all the people who were in their camps. But this one particular camp that was established in 1926 TW took the hard hit, and it took the hard hit in the area where the younger girls were staying. So we still have 27 missing as of my last update not too long ago. And we are now somewhere under 30. And again, those numbers change rapidly in loss of life. And when I mentioned 1926 TW for the reason, for folks around the country, you know, they might say, what was a camp? This is a camp that's a part of our history. And so grandmothers of grandchildren stayed in that camp, and the mothers of the children. And you can go down generation after generation.
Sure.
And this is the biggest flood, or the second largest flood ever to hit this area in modern history. The last big one was in 1987. So this is not only impacting all of the people who were there and the parents, but all of the ladies in Texas who stayed at this camp at some point in their life. I've heard from
Sure.
a lot of grandmothers who said the cabin that was washed away was where I stayed as a little girl. So it's having a tremendous impact. And look, we have made the commitment
incredible,
to parents. We will do whatever it takes to recover every missing child.
It's just incredible. As you know, you may probably remember, I'm from Oklahoma, so I understand how weather patterns in our, in our part of the world can change very, very quickly. Talk to me a little bit about the weather, how this happened so quickly, and also, is the worst of the storm over yet? Has it passed this area of Texas so far?
So the worst part of the storm, I pray that the worst part is over for sure, but we're still going to get some more rain today, and the ground is so saturated that, even a few inches of rain will still have an impact. But for the most part, it's behind us, but we've had flash floods elsewhere in the state because this rain system has stayed in the state. We had some mobile homes washed away, I understand, today in Austin. No loss of life that I know of at this point. And we've told everyone from Waco to San Antonio and Austin to be on alert, and everyone out in central Texas where Kerrville is. And so I was there all day yesterday in Kerrville, and I talked to a gentleman named Dalton, who's the city manager of Kerrville rather. And he was out jogging at 3:30 in the morning along the river, and it was normal. And by the time he got home and changed his clothes and showered for the day, he looked outside, and he could barely see the bridge that looked normal just an hour and a half before that. If you can imagine this, the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And since it was a dry bed, a lot of rocks in there, of course, that was like a flume. That water just came powering down through, taking everything in its way. And our focus is on these children and for their parents to have closure. Hopefully there's still a miracle. Maybe there's a child somewhere in a tree that we haven't seen or found yet. But we are in rescue and recovery mode. But there are many people that were in tents and small trailers and rental houses getting ready for the 4th of July celebration, which is always big in Kerrville, as it is in many towns around the country, particularly small and mid-sized towns. There's about 20,000 people in Kerrville in the city limits. And so we don't know about all those people because it's hard, we had a number.
It's hard over the holidays to kind of account for everybody.
But we don't know how many visitors were there. So there will be an increased loss of life, sadly.
Yeah, and obviously our hearts are with the families who are, want to know about the missing children and everyone, but certainly those images of the National Guard who are just once again stepped up to be amazing heroes. But my question to you, Governor, is about, this search and rescue effort. Are we hopeful that this is going to continue as a search and rescue effort for another 24 hours? What's kind of the mood there? And also, what has been the conversation with the White House and with the executive branch there in Texas?
Well, I've talked to just about everybody at the White House in the last 24 or more hours. The president has been very focused on this. Kristi Noem is on her way to Texas right now. They've offered us anything we need. The president has offered to help, and they're sending in resources, and we greatly appreciate that. Texas has, I would argue, probably the best emergency management team in the country. We have several places where we stage equipment, stage people. It's a very large operation run through Texas A&M University. And so we already had assets in the area. And by the storm hit around 5 in the morning, that's when, within 2 hours, we had people on the ground. At one point in the morning yesterday, we had 400 to 500 people there, state troopers, National Guard, game wardens, local elected, the sheriff's department, you name it, the fire department. Everyone was working together.
Wow.
And I think we had over 300 air rescues yesterday. I wish we'd had 27 more for these missing children.
Sure.
But we were on the ground, ready to go, and we're working hand in glove from the federal, as you well know, as a former state legislator in Oklahoma. These things, federal government, state, local government, and the local government is the one that's closest to the ground. We come in there and surge for them and help them coordinate and do all the things that they don't have the resources for.
That's right. So question to you, Governor, help me understand the camp that was there. You know, we have Falls Creek in Oklahoma, and I'm envisioning this camp with young children, because I think it was a Christian camp too. What do you know about the camp itself? How many people were in attendance usually? I know the 4th of July holiday may have been a little extenuating circumstance.
Well, they were full. They had about 750 children there, 750.
Wow.
And again, we're missing the 27. The camp is kind of divided in around the water, and the one area that was hit the hardest with the youngest children in the camp. That's where the 27, as best we know, these numbers can change. That's where most of those who are missing came from, the camp with the younger girls. But we were getting people out. The 750, they were landlocked or waterlocked for a while. It was very tough to get to them, but we started moving them by helicopter and bus last night. I don't know if they're all out now, but many are out of those 750 and reunited with their parents. So, you know, the hardest part about this, TW, is, and we've had a lot of disasters in Texas. I've been lieutenant governor now for 10 years and a senator for 8 years. And this is the toughest because, number one, and we've had other disasters with children, and they hit you the hardest, just hit you the hardest in the heart. But this is also where yesterday, you know, there were parents who didn't know. They didn't know, because lots of times in a disaster, within a relatively short time, not always. That's right. But you know if your family and loved ones survived or not. In this case, there was, just apprehension all day yesterday and find our children. And again, we rescued a lot, but as dawn broke today, we were still missing 27.
Governor, I got about 20 seconds. You've been so kind to get on. I know you're incredibly busy at this moment. What's your final message to the Texans who have been devastated by what happened, or just want to help out and find a way to pitch in?
So if anyone wants to help anywhere in the country, go to the city of Kerrville. There's a donate page because, we're focused on life right now, but there's going to be a lot of property damage as well and people rebuilding. And so go to city of Kerrville and you'll find the donate page there. The second thing, TW, is look, times like this, you have to stand on your rock of your faith. This is when you're tested.
Amen.
And those who love the Lord, those who have given their life for Christ, those who believe, or whatever faith it may be, who really believe in their God, this is when you have to trust in God, because we don't have answers for times like this when such a tragedy impacts so many innocent people. So we stand on the rock of our faith and we go forward.
Thank you for that message, Governor. Our hearts and prayers are with you. God's still on the throne. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.